My beautiful queens. Do you think my hair looks like I've gone back in time today? I think so. Anyway, today's episode, as I'm sure you know, which is what I say, I think every episode, the title is How to Support a Loved One in Eating Disorder Recovery. And this question came from my lovely client, Hedy, Queen Hedy, not Heidi, that people call her Heidi, including me when I first met her, but no, her name is Hedy. So the question was, of course, how to support a loved one through recovery. And as I explain and share in this episode, I am going to be speaking to how you can support yourself in recovery, because the goal is that you are loved by yourself, of course. So this will be for anyone, of course, who is supporting a loved one in recovery, or who lives with a loved one in recovery, or who is close to a loved one in recovery. And it will also be for you if you are recovering too. So bear that in mind as you're listening. It's not just for your loved ones, it's also for you too. So the first one, I'm kind of doing them in bullet points. I'm going to elaborate on each one, is to meet them where they're at. The first step is to meet them exactly where they are at. This includes meeting yourself where you are currently at. This looks like fully accepting them and yourself exactly where they and where you are currently right now. It's about fully being honest about the situation that you're both in, how you're in, the one supporting, and the one if you are in recovery yourself. And also being fully honest about how you feel about that. You will have feelings about it, of course. You can have feelings about something and you can accept it. Acceptance is giving up resisting what is. Acceptance does not mean approval. People don't get that. I never got that until I got it. Acceptance is giving up resisting what is. We cannot move forward without acceptance. And as painful as it might be to be brutally honest with where you're at, this is where you are right now. So meet yourself, meet them, the loved one in recovery, exactly where they are at right now. Don't tell them what to do is the next one. Instead of telling them what to do, ask them, how can I best support you today? And how can I best support you during this journey? They might not know how they want to be supported yet, because they will get to know themselves and the further along this process they go. Or they might very well know exactly how they would like you to support them. Ask this question whenever it feels right to do so. You may be asking this question several times a day. You may be asking it once a week. Most importantly, let them know that you are here to support them, but do not tell them what to do. The reason for this is because most people with eating disorders have a strong rebellious part within them. My hand is right up there. This is developed as a protective mechanism as a child when the person in question with the eating disorder was not accepted and loved as their natural, authentic selves. The rebellious part would do anything to avoid feeling empty, hollow, lost, directionless, without identity, disconnected, and alone. So if you tell them what to do, they will only rebel against you, even though your intention would be, of course, to help. I don't tell my clients what to do. That doesn't work. It needs to be a mutual effort, a mutual agreement on the goals and the action steps going forward. If I'm telling someone what to do, I'm not allowing them to be in their own empowerment and to choose what to do instead. So the same goes for you yourself. If you are listening to this and you have an eating disorder currently, or you're in recovery, if you tell yourself what to do, this is usually the bully part of you that is also created due to lack of self as you were growing up, then you'll only rebel against yourself. Hands up who can resonate, who rebels against themselves. I have done in the past. I don't anymore because I've healed this part of me, but oh my goodness, I was the biggest rebellion ever. We all have different parts within us, but when when we're not accepted as our true selves as a child, or given what we needed as a child, physically and emotionally, these parts of ourselves become out of balance. The bully part within is abusive, shaming, black and white thinking, rigid, harsh, perfectionistic, loud, angry, and critical. That's the bully aspect within. The rebellious part within is angry, acts out, defiant, oppositional, fuck it attitude. That was my favorite. Or you can't make me. That was also my favorite. And so instead of telling yourself or your loved one what to do, give yourself space to make your own choices. And this, of course, involves giving your loved one in recovery space to make their own choices. Listen carefully now. Everything in life is a choice. I used to get angry at this statement when my coach would reflect this back to me because I didn't believe that to be true, actually. I was only angry, though, after diving deep into why the anger was there around this. I was only angry because I didn't want to take responsibility for that truth that everything in life is a choice. I didn't believe that everything was simply a choice until I was asked this question. I'm going to ask you the same question, right? And this is to prove that everything in life is a choice. Well, 99.99999% of life is a choice. If you were to be given €1 billion, pounds, dollars, if you were to do or not to do fill in the blank behavior, would you be able to do or not do that behavior then? What about if someone had a gun to your head? Would you be able to do or not do the behavior you say you can't do or can't not do? Right? Then when I fully answered that honestly and sat with myself and I was like, yeah, I fucking would do the thing if I got €1 billion after a week of not doing it or doing the thing. I knew that it was a choice to do the thing that was self-harming. That hit me on a deep level. Honestly, I was like, shit, everything is a choice. And the choice I'm currently making is to avoid fear and to avoid discomfort. That was one of the pivotal moments for me to choose again, over and over again, to choose what I ultimately wanted, which was freedom and self-love, and then to act accordingly in alignment with what I say I wanted. So, in terms of supporting a loved one with them making their own choices, give them the space to do that. Don't tell them what to do. Depending on the situation and on the person and the person's mood, perhaps, you could ask something like, what would the version of you who was nailing recovery do right now? I'm here to support you however you need. I believe in you. And then allow them to answer you or not to answer you. Just give them that space. For yourself, ask yourself that exact question in the first person. What would the version of me who was nailing recovery do right now? I believe in her, so therefore I believe in me. I can do this. I choose recovery and freedom. When we replace the words I can't with I won't, we take full responsibility for our choices. Responsibility doesn't have to mean pressuring or bullying the self. Responsibility can and does mean empowerment. It means that you get to make this happen for you. You have the power to do that, and only you, actually. See and feel the difference with these two statements. I can't go for an ice cream. I just can't do it. I won't go for an ice cream. I'm just not willing to do it. Can you feel the difference? Let's stop avoiding discomfort and fear. They will only keep us stuck. The antidote to fear is courage, and you have a shit ton of courage within you, my love. All you need to do is access it and allow it to come out for you. Okay, the next one. Create a supportive environment for your loved one and for yourself. This might look like always having a variety of food in the house. If your loved one is in learning how to eat intuitively, then ensuring that you create a supportive environment by having a variety of food in the house, such as fruits, vegetables, hummus, bread, cheese, chocolate, ice cream, biscuits, nuts, etc. It's important to have their previously fear foods or previously binge foods in the house at all times too. So if someone's learning how to eat intuitively, they need to have a variety of different foods in the house. If your loved one is in recovery from anorexia or orthorexia, then ensure you have enough variety of foods in the house, more a variety of their fear foods, and a little less than usual of their safe, disordered, eating disorder supportive foods. The same goes for yourself, of course, if you are in recovery from an eating disorder. Set your environment up to support you, not to hinder you in recovery. If you're afraid of scones and clotted cream and jam, go and freaking get some and have them in the fridge. So then you have the opportunity and you can then make the choice whether to have the scone or not, regardless of the fear you might feel about having them. If they're not in the house, you can't have them, right? Unless you go out and have them somewhere else. If you're supporting a loved one, they might want you to choose what they eat. So then they have no pressure to make their food choices. Some of my clients ask their husband or mum to choose and to make what they eat each day. That's actually what I did in anorexia recovery. And to be honest, when I started my bulimia recovery, I asked my now husband, what shall I eat? Can you make it for me? I'll eat what you eat. It was actually really helpful to me because it took the pressure that I was putting on myself of whether I was getting it right or wrong, or whether I was allowing the fear to get in the way. If that was taken out of my hands, that was really beneficial. So ask your loved one if they would like you to support them in this way. I actually forgot to give you a question. So going back to you in recovery, if you are, ask yourself this question and write the answers down. How can I set up my environment to support myself through this recovery journey? And then I guess if you're supporting one, you can ask the same question just in the third person. How can you support this person by creating an environment that's supportive for this person? So going back to asking someone else to make food choices for you, perhaps, some of my clients use a spinning wheel or an app that makes choices for them, which is really helpful. And it takes away the very real possibility of decision paralysis. Hands up again. I feel like I'm doing hands up a lot in this episode. Hands up who has experienced decision paralysis before, when the fear just paralyzes you literally. So fight, flight, freeze, you're in the freeze response. And it's almost like you can't move or make a decision on what to eat. So having a person or a spinning wheel or someone else to help you make that decision or to make it for you is very helpful, can be very helpful. I've also had a client who has put little bits of folded paper in a jar, and she's written her fear foods on each bit of paper, and every day she would pick a piece out, and whatever fear food it was on that paper each day, she would challenge herself to eat it before a certain time and then share it with me so I could celebrate her. So I invite you to get creative. Recovery does get to be fun if you allow it to be. Of course, there's going to be a lot of fear, but fear and fun can go together because you get to decide if they can or they can't, right? So the next one, gently encourage them. Gentle encouragement is different to telling them what to do. Again, if it feels right in the moment, words of affirmation can be really helpful and supportive, such as, you can do this. I am so proud of you for eating X, as I know how scary that was for you. Wow, you've not purged for an entire week. That is amazing. Let's do something to celebrate your progress in this journey. The same goes for yourself too. Speak kindly to yourself and with encouragement. The way you speak to yourself in your own head has a huge underlined, capital, bold, italic word huge effect on how you feel and what actions you take or don't take. Start by putting some little tokens, or marbles I think would be a bit too heavy, some little tokens or something in your right pocket. Let's say you've got 50 of them, 20, 50 of them in that right pocket at the start of your day. And then whenever you notice throughout your day that you're allowing the inner bully to berate you or to be unkind without changing it, take one token out of your right pocket and put it into your left pocket. At the end of the day, you can see how many times you have let the bully within you be mean and get away with it. With this awareness, you can then choose, there's that word again, to respond differently. An example, the inner bully says, "Oh my God, did you just see your reflection in that mirror? You are disgusting. You need to skip lunch today." You say in response, because you're aware that that's happening, "That's not very nice. What is it you're trying to protect me from by saying that to me?" The reason I've asked you to ask this question is because the inner bully, all parts of you actually, they're only trying to protect you from something. So let's say the bully answers with, "If you skip lunch, you might lose some weight and then you won't look so disgusting. Then people won't judge you unkindly. Then you'll be safer and more accepted." So then you could respond with, this is very important, these next 3 words, "I hear you." The bully just wants to be heard. The rebel wants to be heard. Your inner child wants to be heard, right? I know I sound perhaps like I'm deciding that everyone is, what's the word? Has multiple personalities. And I'm not saying we do or we don't, but there are definitely parts within us that are unbalanced when we've had childhood trauma. So let's say you respond with, "I hear you. Thank you for trying to protect me. However, this isn't working for me. People will judge me no matter what. And so I'm working on accepting myself as I am. Accepting myself is the doorway to loving myself, and that is what I want. And I'm not going to skip lunch today. I'm going to enjoy my lunch, and actually I'm going to write down 10 things that I appreciate about myself at the same time." So do the above in all situations whenever you are aware. Act on what you say you'll do, and honestly, you'll be shocked at how differently you feel and how much easier recovery then becomes. The next one, don't try to fix them, because they are not broken. They are wounded within, and they are trying to cope with the pain of feeling the deep shame of being them. They feel that they are flawed and something is wrong with them. They feel ashamed to just be. However, they can fully heal and release that heavy shame. And it's impossible for you to fix anything. It's got to come from them. This is one of the hardest parts of supporting a loved one, or being with a loved one, or living with a loved one who has an eating disorder. You see they're in pain, and all you want to do is take that pain away from them. If only they would just eat this thing, it's just food. If only they would just see how special they are, regardless of how much weight they've put on. All you can do is, this brings me to the next one, love them fiercely through it all. Show them that you love them unconditionally. Love is a feeling and an action. It's a verb. Show them via all the ways you know how, of course, taking into consideration this episode. Even if they don't respond, them knowing that you are there for them and you love them no matter what, that can be everything. It was everything for me. And the same goes for practicing loving yourself if you're in recovery. If you unconditionally loved yourself already, how would you treat yourself? How would you speak to yourself? How would you take care of yourself? The number one essential thing in recovery is self-compassion. This is everything. Self-compassion supports recovery and gets you further than self-flagellation and self-abuse. Trust me, I know from 20 years of experience of self-flagellation, self-abuse, the inner bully being so loud within and directing me and demanding that I do this and don't do that. Practice treating yourself in all ways the same way you would treat a loved one. If you look back at how you've been treating yourself and imagined that you were treating an animal or a child that way, you would most likely be in prison for abuse and neglect. Am I wrong? Only you have the power to change how you treat yourself, my love. I know that you will feel that everybody else in the world deserves to be treated with love and kindness, but not you. You're different. It's like a deep feeling within. And I really, really get it. I know that feeling so well. The thing is, it's not true, even though it feels so deeply true. When you fully heal, you feel your wholeness, and loving yourself becomes easy and natural. The next one is in supporting someone, educate yourself. In my opinion, this is quite important, especially if you haven't had an eating disorder yourself. I'm not saying you have to make it your full-time job educating yourself about eating disorder recovery, but it will be helpful if you were to read a book, or a few books, or listen to my podcast episodes, for example. You can also ask the loved one that has the eating disorder that is in recovery, what book would you like me to read? What podcast episode would you like me to listen to try to understand your inner world and how you feel better? So you can ask your loved one this too. It's important to educate yourself just so you have a bit of background knowledge as to what your loved one might be going through. If your loved one is in anorexia or orthorexia recovery, then I recommend you read Rehabilitate, Rewire, Recover by Tabitha Farrar, which is on a bookshelf somewhere next to me. If your loved one is in binge eating recovery, I recommend you read The Fuck It Diet by Caroline Dooner. If your loved one is in bulimia recovery, then I recommend you read Bulimia Sucks by Katie Hudson Hall or Bulimia Help Method by Ali Kerr. I recommend everyone read Hell for Every Size by Lindo Bacon. I'm sure I don't need to speak about educating yourself if you are in recovery, as I'm almost certain that you will have read and listened to many recovery resources already and may continue to do so. And perhaps it's the taking action with the right support that you might be currently missing. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You cannot educate your way to freedom and recovery. You need to take that action. We train ourselves via the behaviours we do on a regular basis. Train yourself that recovery is possible, freedom is possible, and weight gain is not to be feared. And I know that's like a big thing to say. That's why we work a lot on that in my coaching in my group, because that's one of the biggest fears of recovery is weight gain. Take a look at your own so the next one, take a look at your own behaviors and beliefs and what are driving them. If you're supporting a loved one, are you carrying out disordered behaviors without even realizing it? Our culture is saturated in diet culture without even knowing it most of the time. Are you commenting on fat people's bodies? Are you making judgments about what people are eating, including yourself? Are you eating freely, or are you watching what you eat? Are you treating yourself and your body with kindness and respect? Are you cutting out sugar or trying to be good? Really pay attention to your behaviors, because they could be fueling in the most negative way the person that you're actually trying to support in their recovery journey. The types of questions that I've just given you as an example to ask yourself are really important, and also for you to reflect on the answers to those questions. If your answers aren't fully supporting the loved one in recovery, It might be time to take a look at your behaviors and the beliefs underneath these behaviors that are driving the behaviors. So you do have most likely your own work to do. One of the best ways you can support someone in recovery is by being an example to them. Would you want your loved one to be watching what they were eating? Would you want a loved one to be avoiding sugar because you think it's bad? There's so many layers to all of this, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have around this, but really take a good look at yourself without blaming yourself, because we're only human, right? The next one, this is really important for you in supporting someone. Get support yourself and live your own life. Talking to someone, whether it will be a professional, a friend, or a support group, is very beneficial for your mental health. Living with someone who has an eating disorder and who is in recovery from an eating disorder can be very challenging and all-consuming. Emotions run high. Take care of yourself. It's so important to do that. Take care of yourself. Do not forget to live your own life too. You cannot save the person. Only the person can save themselves. Live your own life. Talk to someone. And lastly, well, firstly, I need to undo my belt because I'm not going to lie, I've just eaten and this belt is like not comfortable. So 1 second. That's better. Lastly, be patient. I don't know why I say it like that. Be patient. That's what my mum used to say to me. Okay, let me rephrase it. Be patient, my love. It can take time for someone to fully recover, and there'll be many ups and downs along the way. Recovery is not linear. It's a messy and magnificent journey. Be patient with your loved one and with yourself as the supporter as well. Nobody is perfect, and that's what makes us human. Your loved one will recover on the right timeline for them, especially if they have the right support from a professional who is guiding them. Patience is a characteristic of love, in my opinion. So practice patience and practice kindness along the way. People recover at different rates, and this is okay. Everyone is different and everyone's lived different lives. They have different past experiences. Let go, therefore, of any comparison to another's recovery journey and focus on the one in front of you, because that's what matters most. This, of course, includes you if you are in recovery from an eating disorder. Be patient with yourself. You are exactly where you are supposed to be right now. Give yourself some grace. I know it's hard going through recovery, diving deep and into all that what entails in recovery. It's a lot. I'm not going to lie. I know. But keep showing up for yourself every day, day by day, doing your best with commitment and self-compassion, and you will get there. You have got this. And if you would like support along the way, if you'd like me to hold your hand and guide you step by step, then reach out to me and we can work together during one-to-one coaching or group coaching, and I can support you individually on your recovery journey. All right, my loves, that is it for today. If you haven't already, I would be deeply grateful if you could rate my podcast 5 stars. If you're on YouTube, the standard thumbs up, subscribe, all that kind of thing. It really helps people find me and get the help they need. So I appreciate you in advance for doing that for me as a thank you for the episodes. And I hope you have a beautiful day or morning or evening or wherever it is you're listening to this in the world. Any questions for any episodes, please let me know by Instagram DM or by email. victoria@victoriakleinsman.com is the email. Everything's on my website anyway. So much love to you. Hedy, thank you for the question. You're rocking recovery. I'm so proud of you. Be kind to yourself, each and every one of you. And I'll see you next week. Mwah. Much love. Bye-bye.